Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Nasser, and this is the Cleveland C# User Group. About the group, we meet typically every month, more specifically on the fourth week of the month. The meetings are free of charge and open to the public, and we cover a variety of topics related to .NET. You can find all the meeting information posted at meetup.com at the link listed at the bottom of the slide. If you're joining us for the first time, the purpose of the user group meeting is essentially to have a technical speaker where we can share knowledge, as well as networking and sharing information about the job availability and upcoming events and so forth. Because it's based on knowledge sharing, I strongly encourage you to participate and ask questions or jump in with any comments at any point in time. As always, we'd like to give a big thank you to our sponsors, the .NET Foundation for sponsoring the Meetup website, and NIS Technologies for sponsoring the virtual meeting space, as well as the recording. Some general information, like I mentioned earlier, participation is always encouraged, and the infamous phrase, the only stupid question is the one not being asked. I heard another interesting phrase that said, there are no stupid questions, only stupid people that are afraid to ask questions. So keep that in mind. Feel free to jump in at any point in time. Nothing to be afraid of. We're all here to share knowledge. However, when not speaking, kindly ask you to mute your microphones just to avoid any background noise. And we want to keep it casual but organized, meaning feel free to participate with any questions or comments, but at the same time, we want to give our speaker enough time to go through the slides and the demos. Lastly, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube after a few short days. So for tonight's feature presentation, we have productivity with GitHub Copilot regarding documentation and unit tests. This is brought to us by Veronika Kolesnikova. She joins us from the greater Boston area. She is a software engineer and an AI enthusiast, a 6-time Microsoft MVP with a master's in information technology. She's also a public speaker at various hackathons, user groups, and she's also the co-organizer of the Boston Azure user group. In her free time, she loves dancing, traveling, and practicing aerial fitness, which I find very interesting and fascinating. And so with that, Veronika, welcome to the Cleveland C# user group.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so today we'll be talking about GitHub Copilot and how you can use that amazing tool for documentation and unit testing. And before we move forward, just Sam did a really good job introducing me. So just, it's a quick overview. Pretty much he said everything about me. I'm in Boston area working as a senior software engineer for Liberty Mutual. And I am gonna go to next slide here. I do have a couple of slides. This session is really for everyone. So if you're a beginner, if you don't know much about Copilot, please start with focusing on the slides, and then I will provide a quick overview of the tool and how you can use it. And then I do have two kind of demos / workshops. I actually got those workshops from Microsoft Learn. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me, but I will go through them pretty quickly. But I will share the links to Microsoft Learn modules so you can actually go back and then do it in your own pace. Go through the labs, try it on your own. So I don't encourage you to actually try to rush it through the labs today with me, but if you want to, you're welcome to. Okay, so introduction to GitHub Copilot, and how many of you actually used GitHub Copilot? You can give a reaction if you can. No one used Copilot? Okay, I got a reaction. One reaction. Okay. So I do encourage you to try GitHub Copilot. It's free. I'm using it with VS Code, but it also supports other IDEs. Oh, I got another reaction. Awesome. A couple of people. So, but yeah, it doesn't matter if you are a really experienced developer, if you're coding every day, and doesn't matter what kind of language you are using, you can use GitHub Copilot. It's amazing for creating projects from scratch, or if you have existing project and you want to make some changes, maybe add features, make it better, actually improve your code, you can use GitHub Copilot. GitHub Copilot is an AI-powered code companion. It's designed to assist developers in writing code, make it more efficient, make it faster. I actually use GitHub Copilot for work pretty much every day, or at least whenever I need to write code. It is really convenient, save me a lot of time, especially with unit tests. I want to be honest here. Unit tests used to take a lot of time from me and from my team. And then with the Copilot, it is much faster. You can, if you have some unit tests available, you can kind of ask your Copilot to copy that style. But if you start writing tests from scratch, it can actually create them for you, and then you can tweak them. So we'll get to that. I know I'm kind of moving ahead of myself a little bit. So GitHub Copilot can understand context and language context. Sorry, context and language constructs. It can provide relevant suggestions, and it supports a lot of programming languages. I think one of popular usage for GitHub Copilot is converting from one programming language to another programming language. It depends what kind of language you are using, what language you are converting from, and what language you are converting to. Um, the Copilot was trained on GitHub repos. So if there are lots of different repos that are maybe TypeScript or JavaScript, obviously the suggestions are going to be better for those languages. But if there are less repos for something like Rust, for example, I know a person who actually tried to convert to Rust and had really challenging time using Copilot, just because Copilot wasn't really trained on a lot of Rust repos. So it can provide code suggestions, it can provide inline code suggestions, or you can use Copilot chat to interact, to have conversation back and forth with a Copilot, maybe refine some answers that it is providing. So here are GitHub features, something like code inline completion, when you can just put your cursor on a screen at some place, and then your GitHub Copilot will suggest code. It is always iffy. Though all those suggestions, sometimes I feel like they're so random, but sometimes they're like just perfect. So you never know. That's always a challenge with AI. Doesn't matter what kind of model you are using. It is sometimes doing amazing things, but sometimes it's completely messing up. So be careful what you are doing and what kind of answers you are accepting from Copilot. Next is inline chat. So you can use that little chat right in your file. It's just for quick questions, so you can really have full conversation. But maybe if you have something quick to ask Copilot, you can use that. And then chat view is actual kind of like a side panel that you can open and then have a full conversation with Copilot, maybe refine some things, maybe ask additional questions. So it's full-blown chat. And then quick chat, kind of similar, but if you have quick question, you can use that. And then smart actions that can help you to write less prompts. So if you need to write tests, there's a test smart action. If you want to your Copilot to explain your code, there's explain smart action. So once I move to the IDE, you will see all that there. Okay, next one. How you can enhance your documentation with GitHub Copilot. Effective documentation is essential for maintaining code quality. And it doesn't matter if you are seeing the code for the first time and you just need that documentation / explanation for yourself, or maybe you have a project with lack of documentation and you just want to add useful comments for other developers, or you want to create README file. GitHub Copilot actually can help you with that. Okay, now I want to talk a little more about smart actions and response improvements techniques. You can use smart actions like explain and generate docs. That way you need to write less prompt. So your prompt is not going to be too complicated because those actions, they're kind of pre-built, so you don't need to explain too much to Copilot what you want from it. And you know, the simpler your prompt is, the better. It's not only related to Copilot, but if you're working with any kind of generative AI tools, the simpler prompt, the better. Don't confuse your generative AI tools too much. Next one, you can include chat participants, something like workspace to include all open files, or use terminal if you want to maybe find a command for your terminal. Maybe you forgot a command. Maybe you want to use information from the terminal. You can use, you can add terminal as your chat participant. And then you can have access to / commands, for example, explain. So it is kind of similar to the smart actions there. It is just pretty much the same. Smart actions is just a button, and then explain, you actually type / and explain. So whatever you prefer, totally up to you. And then you can use chat variables such as file or editor to point your GitHub Copilot to specific file, add more context for your Copilot so it can better understand your question and provide you better answers. Okay, next, generating inline code comments. Copilot can suggest inline comments based on the code being written. This feature helps developers to maintain clarity, to actually provide more information to next developers who probably gonna maintain that code, or even for yourself. Sometimes I feel like that's common issue when someone writes code and then doesn't touch it for maybe a year or so, maybe a couple of months, and then that person has to go back and update something, but they completely lost context by that time, so they don't remember what they did there, why they did that. And so if you can leave inline comments, that would be really helpful. GitHub Copilot can actually do it for you, so you don't need to think of what you want to put there, how to make it actually better for next developer or for yourself a couple of months later. It improves code readability, and it adds context for complex logic. I know this is a little controversial. I personally am not a huge fan of adding those inline comments. I feel like your code should be kind of self-explanatory, but I know there are lots of situations where you did something on purpose. So you had an idea, or maybe you had the requirement, and you do need to leave a comment. So later on, you know why you did it, or someone else will know why you did that. And yeah, so Copilot can be really helpful. And then you can also use GitHub Copilot for creating comprehensive README files. Importance of README files can be overstated. When you are creating your new repo, README is the first thing that you need to think about. And sometimes you actually don't have time to think about it right away. So you write your code first, create your solution and project, and then by the time you get to that README file, you just don't have time, or maybe you just completely forget about it. And that way, GitHub Copilot can be a really great tool to help you write that README file really quick and add specific chapters, paragraphs, specific information to that README file. And you can use GitHub Copilot for assistance, for updating your README, or creating a new one from scratch. Also, another example, you can add code examples there. Really convenient. Okay. So I'm moving really fast. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Next, I want to talk about automating unit tests with GitHub Copilot. Having unit tests is very important. It is the main rule. It doesn't matter if you are doing test-driven developer and you start with tests, or you actually write your code first and then you need to write unit tests for testing your functionality. GitHub Copilot can help you with both approaches. It can generate test cases, and it will save you a lot of time. I already mentioned that in the beginning, that is probably the best feature of GitHub Copilot. Personally, for me, it definitely saves me a lot of time. Every time when I need to add new functionality, I do use GitHub Copilot for testing to create my unit tests. Okay, so there are again a couple of options how you can use GitHub Copilot. You can write initial test cases using GitHub Copilot. If you don't have any tests, you starting from scratch, or you can expand test coverage. Maybe you already have tests, and you just maybe missed some test cases. Maybe you're not sure what else you can add there to your unit tests, and also some edge cases. You know, sometimes it's really hard to write your functionality and then think about every test case possible. So Copilot can actually save you a lot of time, so you don't have to think about all the edge cases. Copilot can actually add those unit tests for you. Okay. Okay, the GitHub Copilot, I know it sounds so cool, so awesome. We don't need to do anything. We just install Copilot and it will write the code for us, documentation, unit tests. We're just gonna sit back and relax. Actually, that's not the case. Maybe fortunately, maybe unfortunately. Um, uh, it is GitHub Copilot is a copilot. It's not a pilot. Pilot is still you. So you should be responsible what you are actually adding to your code and pushing to your repository. While GitHub Copilot offers a lot of advantages, there are challenges and considerations that you need to remember. You need to understand limitations and potential issues. It can generate different responses at different times. So sometimes you have a prompt, it's maybe perfectly written, you always use it for specific task, and then it is quite possible that for one project, GitHub Copilot is going to generate one answer, and then for another project, it's going to generate a different answer. And you definitely need to double check if your prompt is still working. Even if you're using those actions, then you do need to check that the result is suitable to you. You can include it in your code. And usually when you are getting some kind of code or some kind of information from GitHub Copilot, you do need to double check and make sure that there are no bugs, that the libraries, for example, if it suggests to use some kind of libraries, you do need to verify that they don't have vulnerabilities. I know maybe several months ago, I heard about an example that there were malicious actors on GitHub who specifically created a bunch of repos. Actually, I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what I heard. That's why I'm passing it to you. Those people, they specifically created a bunch of repos and introduce specific vulnerability in those repos. And then the models behind GitHub Copilot picked up that code and they were trained on that code. And then later on, when people were using GitHub Copilot, Copilot suggested that solution with the vulnerability. So you can rely on those answers, but please double check, verify that the suggestion is correct, because in the end, it's going to be your name in that pull request. It's going to be your name on that commit that you did. It's not going to be Copilot's fault if something goes wrong.
Veronika, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, two questions. So first of all, can you go into more detail about that vulnerability, specifically what code segment was it exploiting?
Oh, I don't remember actually. It's been a while. But no, I don't know. I think
Okay,
they fixed it because it was a while ago.
okay. And maybe you're going to get to this later, but is Copilot intelligent enough to pick up on what testing framework you're going to use, or will it prompt you for what testing framework you want to use?
So it depends. As everything with generative AI, if, for example, if you already have some unit tests and you just want to expand your testing suite, then you can provide your tests as an example, included as it's that workspace variable for your Copilot, and then Copilot will pick up the testing framework that you are using. If not if you're writing from scratch. It will provide its best guess. And then it's up to you if you want to modify it. Or maybe if you write in your initial prompt asking to write tests, you can include specific testing framework that you wanted to use. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I'm gonna move forward. I think I have only a couple of slides. We'll wrap it up really quick and we'll move to the code. So you need to understand vulnerabilities. Definitely double check the libraries, the versions that Copilot is using. It is not being trained on a spot. So the models that Copilot is using, they were trained up until a certain point of time. You need to make sure that you're verifying the versions of the libraries that Copilot is suggesting, and sometimes it is suggesting old version of libraries, and those libraries, they have vulnerabilities. So make sure you are double checking that, and then make sure that you are implementing best practices in code reviews. Now, actually, I just learned today that GitHub Copilot can help you do reviews for your PRs. I haven't tried it, but I just read about it today. I think it's fun. I hope people are not going to rely too much on that, and they still review those PRs themselves. But yeah, just be careful. And yeah, last slide here, conclusion. You can use GitHub Copilot for enhancing productivity, saves a lot of time, boosts your productivity. You don't have to spend a lot of time maybe writing tests or writing documentation. You can focus on actually creating new functionality. And it provides unit testing support, and it can use best practices. So all those things are very helpful. Definitely don't hesitate to use GitHub Copilot. It is free. Play with it, try with your different projects, but do verify the answers that it's providing. So let me actually get to the code. Okay, so I do have 2 labs. I'm just reminding you that before I move to the labs. Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, let me do that. So the first lab is gonna cover documentation, and the second one is gonna cover unit tests. Here I'm using VS Code. I also have an extension here. This one, it is now open that. I do have a bunch of tools. So C# Dev Kit. If you are using VS Code, I'm sure you know about that extension. Just showing that to you so you know what's happening here. That's why I have Solution Explorer here. And here, that solution, let's pretend that I'm seeing it for the first time. I'm actually seeing it for the second time because I went through the lab myself. I went through those Microsoft Learn modules to actually see what they are offering there, and they are amazing, really good. They provide some theory and also provide examples, and then you can do that lab on your own. So here, what we need to do, we need to create documentation with specific requirements. So we need to create inline documentation for program CS file. I know it's a really small solution, but still. And that documentation should include documentation for device class and then documentation for each property and method of the device class. And then we need to create project documentation formatted as Markdown. The project documentation should contain the following sections: overview, features, requirements, constraints, dependencies, and summary. And then we'll create a README file containing project title, description, setup instructions, usage, contributor guidelines, and license. So let's do it really quick. I will open. Oh, I have a lot of it here. Let me clean that. I have a lot of them. Okay, let me do that. Let me close that. Okay, perfect. So here, a little overview. I am using GPT-4o model here. Other models are in preview, so you can still use them if you want to. But Microsoft and GitHub, they are recommending GPT-4o, and I feel like in most of cases it is faster than, for example, o1. And I know Claude 3.7 is a hit. I actually haven't used it, so you can definitely check it out and let me know how it works for you. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, we have that device class. Let's pretend we're all seeing it for the first time. I don't know, something is happening here. You want to better understand, maybe write comments, ask your Copilot to help you out. So what we're gonna do, I do have my commands written down so I don't have to type them. I am using workspace and then selection. For selection, I am gonna, let me see. I am gonna select the whole device class. Here it is. And here you can see it shows the selection here. I am also making sure that it is specifically targeting the selection. Then I'm doing this. It is collecting workspace information. So whatever you have open there. So you can see it is writing comments for you. It doesn't modify the code. In theory, it can modify the code just by mistake, but that wasn't the task here. So you can see some comments. If something goes wrong, you didn't really like the answer, maybe it was totally off, maybe something was unacceptable, you can always say that it's unhelpful and it will help the training process. And next time it will suggest better options for you. So what we can do, actually we do need to go and check it out, but because I don't have time today, I'm just gonna accept it all. I'm gonna do this one. So it will just copy everything automatically. It's really slow today. Okay, so what you can do, you can actually go line by line and accept this change or revert it. And that is actually a really good option. That way you can actually go and verify each change. But again, because I don't have time today, I'm gonna just blindly accept it all. Okay, now let's move to next part. We'll generate project documentation. So again, I have my magic prompt here I'm gonna use. So I am again using the whole, let me save this file. I'm gonna use the whole workspace and I'm asking Copilot to document this project and include overview and sections for dependencies, features, requirements, constraints, and summary. Since I need those specific sections, I am including them in my prompt. So you see, it took just a couple of, less than a minute actually, several seconds there. And we do have requirements, constraints, summary. So it is really helpful for us since we're seeing this project for the first time, but also we can use that information in the documentation. So if we want to format it, I'm gonna use that prompt, say just format the documentation as Markdown and show the raw Markdown file contents. So now you have it in Markdown. You can create a new file. You can copy it somewhere, whatever you want. Again, you can apply an editor. So whatever you have open there, insert the cursor there, and then you can copy. And there, you can insert it into terminal. You don't really need it here. Then insert it into new file. So whatever you want to do with that, you can do it here. Next, I am gonna move really quickly to README because I think we also need to work on the tests. So I do have another prompt that I saved. I am using the whole workspace again. I know it's a small project. I keep repeating that it's small. So if you have a larger project, obviously it's gonna take longer, and also you might go through several iterations. So your GitHub Copilot can really understand what is what and how it's all connected. Here, it's a simple project because it's just a lab, just to show you how it works. So here, I'm using Workspace. and I'm asking it to generate a README document that can be used as a repo description, include project title, and following sections: description, setup instructions, usage contributor guidelines, and license. So again, it took it just maybe a couple of seconds to generate that README file with contributor guidelines, how you can clone the repo. Obviously, you do need to update it. And then how you can create a new branch, some license information. You do need to create that license file if you want to provide specific license information there. But overall, it's pretty good. Project name, the setup instructions, it's really, really useful. So you don't have to sit and spend a couple of hours just writing README. And then again, you can format it. That README that I think I created before. So yeah, that is that. You can copy it to a new file, or you can just copy paste it into your README file. It is ready to go. It's in raw markdown format there. So that's that for documentation. Now let's move to testing. I do have another project here. Any questions related to documentation?
Not a question, but I think we lost your video though.
Oh, really? Okay, let me reshare.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so second lab here. Here, what we need to do, we do need to create unit tests. We are going to create specifically X unit tests for each methods. And here we have that bank account class with a bunch of simple methods like credit, debit, transfer, get balance, calculate interest. So that is also coming from that sample repo provided by Microsoft Learn. So pretty straightforward here. And then we'll create unit tests, and then we'll test using Test Explorer here in VS Code. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new X unit test project. We're gonna do new project, X unit. We're gonna call it, I should have copied it first. We're gonna do it again, X unit. Okay, so created a new project here, called it bank account unit tests. And here it is completely empty. We have unit test 1. We don't really need that. We can leave it and then just replace it or replace the content. I can delete it. It's not really useful right now. And then I am gonna add a reference to that bank account project. So then I can connect those two, test project and the main project. And then here I will create a new file. Actually, I could just rename existing file. It's gonna be a test. Just test custom file. We're gonna call it bank account tests.cs. Okay, completely empty file. And I can build a solution just to make sure that it is working. I'm gonna skip that for now, just to save some time. I am gonna go back to bank account here. I'm gonna select the bank account class, full class here. And then open GitHub Copilot chat. Again, I do have things here. I wanted to clean it somewhere. Okay, so nice and clean. I am gonna use attach context option. So right here, I am gonna use bank account tests. And then I am gonna use the whole project. So I can actually drag and drop it right here. I know. And then I also have my magic prompt. It's not too complicated. Actually, we can use this one. Okay. Yeah, I got confused. Let me actually do it again. And we move the project. And that's the current file. Okay, perfect. Insert the prompt. So here it actually created a plan for itself. It wrote the unit tests for all the methods: constructor, credit, debit, get balance, transfer, and calculate interest. And that's the output. So a bunch of tests here. What we're gonna do, we can go back up there and then do apply edits. So it is applying edits for us, and then we'll just save them. So those are the tests. it is saying applied one change to that specific file. I'm going to close all that. And then, yeah, okay, we have all the tests for each method, constructor test, credit, debit, a couple of tests for debit actually. Again, please verify those tests before accepting them. And then we need to build the solution. So I'm gonna do build. Okay, so it built it. Let me see. Something is not working. Okay, here we got an error. So another example why you can just blindly accept all the changes suggested by GitHub Copilot. So that bank account is actually missing. What we need to do, we need to have something like this. So bank account. Let me actually go back and see what's going on. Okay, we have namespace, bank account app, and inside of it, bank account class. So, bank account, that should be app, right? Something is wrong. Okay, then it is bank account here. We'll save that. We have bank account fixed. I think it's just a namespace issue. Let me try to build it again. Let me see. I think I was just complaining about that. Let me save, build again. Okay, I think now it's fine. Yes. So yeah, that's an example of GitHub Copilot not being perfect, and you do need to pay attention what it's doing. So I'm glad that I was able to fix it pretty quick. Sometimes it might take a little bit. That's why it's better to actually see the response in the chat first and analyze it there before inserting it to a file. Okay, now we're gonna move to next task. I'm gonna attach context and use bank account file, and I am gonna use another prompt that I have prepared here. So I want to use a selection. Let me actually select the whole our task class here. And I want the Copilot to actually find edge cases. So it did find a bunch of edge cases that were initially missing. Oh, that is something new. Vulnerability. Hard-coded credentials. Oh, look at that. Now it actually mark vulnerability for you. Doesn't mean that you don't need to verify those vulnerabilities. There might be other vulnerabilities that GitHub Copilot doesn't know about, or it just doesn't see it, or the model that you are using doesn't know about those vulnerabilities. So that the new feature that they have that I actually just see right now helps you, but it doesn't solve all your problems. So we are still gonna insert at I don't know, did it replace it? I think it just replaced it. We're gonna do this thing. And then add those edge cases after existing task cases. Oh yeah, because I added them at the wrong place. That's why. Okay. Third time is a charm. Perfect. So it inserted all those edge cases here. Okay, what we're gonna do next, I am gonna select the whole file here, and I am gonna open inline chat session. So Copilot inline chat. And you see that little inline chat here. And you can actually change the model for inline chat. So your model here doesn't have to be the same model as in your main chat. And here I want it. I have my another magical prompt. I want Copilot arrange the unit tests in order by the method that they're testing. Kind of clean it up for me. So it's just gonna go through the file and update it. Perfect. So I can go through the changes and see that they are organized. Some of those edge cases were moved up closer to other similar tests. Yeah, this one for debit method. And then calculated interest, that is also an edge case that was suggested later. So you don't even need to organize it. It will organize your test cases for you. So it looks nice. You can accept it. And accept. Everything is accepted. Perfect. We can save the file. And now I can add, I can run those tests. I can see them in Test Explorer here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run all the tests from the Explorer. You see, some of them actually failed. We're not going to spend time debugging those test cases. There are 3 failed ones. There are some suggestions, so maybe there's something wrong with the code, maybe something wrong with the tests themselves. Again, I didn't really spend any time verifying the suggestions that Copilot provided. I also didn't spend any time going through the code and making sure that it actually works. So it is obvious that some of test cases might fail, and they are failing, and it's normal. So just don't, I keep repeating myself, and I keep telling you that just don't blindly accept everything that Copilot is telling you. Okay, so that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. I know we are at time. I want to give you opportunity to ask questions if you have any.
Actually, there's a question from Will. He's asking, excuse me, can Copilot organize test cases using regions?
Regions for what?
So as you segment your code and you specify a specific region.
Oh, I think I lost you.
If you in your code, like right before public void credit should not allow, you can put a hash region and give it a name, and then you can put an end region later on down. So I don't know if it could. I guess what the question sounds like it is just, can you do tests just on that region of code that you mark off? Or
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can definitely use the selection. You can just select the region and use that hashtag selection that I showed today. Region is not really a hashtag there, but selection is. So selection is a better option.
People still use regions? I don't know. I was just throwing that out there.
Well, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on using regions or not using them?
I don't actually use them, but I was just curious. I mean, so so much of the the benefit of the Copilot is to do the not the mundane work, but the repetitive work. And so when she was organizing the unit tests by method, whatnot, wouldn't it be great if you organize by or put them in regions, or some other example, or separate out tests into partial classes if so desired. But just thinking about, I guess, different ways to again kind of minimize some of that labor.
Okay. We also have another question from Daniel. Can you describe a custom format for Copilot tests and comments like you did with a README file?
Yeah, so there I used Markdown format. I'm not sure what you mean by custom. So if you want it to be Markdown, you can use something like I did there. Can go back to the command that I use. Format the README document as Markdown and show the raw Markdown file contents. If you want to do something unusual, not a Markdown, but something else, maybe a Word document, I don't know. You can try it. Again, it depends on the model. It depends what you are trying to accomplish, what code you are using. It might work. I think it's quite possible that it can format in a specific way. It is I don't know. The general answer is it depends. Again, it's generative AI, also the models are getting more and more advanced. And here you have the whole opportunity to chat and maybe fine tune the response. So if you get a response in a specific format, but you want to change it, you can tell it to Copilot. If it doesn't really do that, you can basically chat with it back and forth and tweak the answers, and maybe get to a specific format that you need there.
So later on, he continued with a comment saying, "My bad, I meant directions on how you want things to be structured." Like I want this comment to say what the function name is, its parameters, and a quick one-line description of what it does.
Yeah, sure, you can do that. You can include it, so something like, where was it? Where was my command? So here I put them in all those sections in specific order. So I need project title, description, setup instructions, usage. You can include whatever you want in a specific order. If you want something else, you can include it there too. I had just those prompts pre-built for that specific lab. But if you want something else, you can just change the prompt.
Okay. Makes sense. Daniel, does that answer your question?
Yes.
All right, very good. And while we're on that topic, any other questions or comments in general? All right. Looks like that's a wrap. Thank you, Veronika. Very well done.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I like what you always said, that it's only Copilot, it's not the pilot. I completely agree. And as we had seen, it generated some tests that failed, which means you need to roll up your sleeves and get in there and double check the code. You can't just you can't accept everything, unfortunately. But who knows what's going to happen in the next year? We'll see how well it functions after a year of model modifications. So time will tell. But thanks again. And before we adjourn for the evening, I just have a couple concluding slides. So if I may, I'd like to share my screen. And first and foremost, the question on everyone's mind: what's the link for the YouTube channel? So it's listed there in the chat window as well as on the slide. Also, please subscribe to get upload notifications when the videos are edited and uploaded. Same thing with my blog, where I post tech events and Q&As and various articles, all related to AI, at samnasser.blogspot.com. And again, please subscribe to that to get updates. And last but not least, if you would please take a moment to fill out the eval form so we can provide Veronika with some constructive criticism. Also, I wanted to share that tickets went on sale for Stir Trek. So if you're in the Cleveland area, or in the Columbus area, I should say, the event takes place in Columbus, obviously, and it's going to be on May 2nd. And basically, it is, as the title suggests, tech and a flick. So it's basically an all-day conference, and then afterwards they shut down the theater, where it's basically just for the attendees alone, and you have a private viewing of a specific movie. In this case, it's going to be Marvel's Thunderbolts. So tickets are currently on sale, and if you click the register here button, you'll see that the super early bird had sold out. However, the early bird is still on sale for $175 with an $8 processing fee. So the link for that is stirtrek.com. Notice it's Trek. I'm sorry, it's Stir as opposed to Star. So it's stirtrek.com. Check it out and buy your tickets as soon as possible. And one other thing I wanted to mention is with regards to the job market, if you are currently looking, check out devitjobs.com. This is a very interesting website. It's useful in the sense that you can filter by whether the position is remote, the specific technology you're working on, or the geographical region, as well as see all the other organizations that are hiring. So devitjobs.com if you're in the job market. Lastly, if I can answer any questions for you, my contact information is snasser@nistechnologies.com, and you can find all my socials and links, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc., all through Linktree, and that is linktree/Sam Nasser. And speaking of LinkedIn, if we're not connected, please let's do so. It's a great platform to stay connected, share technical articles. So with that, thanks again to Veronika for a great presentation, and thank you all for attending, and look forward to seeing you all next month. Good night, everyone.